talking about everything that's wrong with the world. Just drop my phone. Turn it.
Computer's on too.
And so, but I
Butterfingers.
made toast this morning. I must have got butter. Remember, hello, adventure. So, a little bit of a warning. This episode is going to be the nerdiest episode that we've ever done, which is why I'm so excited. So I just wanted to warn you ahead of time. Just pause, grab some popcorn, and enjoy your seat from the center of the nerd universe. So we are talking about part 2. We talked about IFTTT and about the good kind of automation, about how we should manage things so that we can mentor people. How we're talking about not everything that is wrong with the world like advertising does, but we invite people to everything that is right with the world, and that is adventure. So we say it a lot that we live in the future, and we can get not only apps to talk to each other, but we can get things to start to talk to each other. And so that becomes kind of scary, but kind of cool. But it really is a matter of mindset, and it really matters of, remember, technology doesn't have any feelings. Technology doesn't have any morals. It can do good things, it can do bad things, depending on the person that puts it into play. So sometimes technology can be used to solve a problem. And so we can get this idea of the connectivity of things. Biotech is pretty close to home to me because of just something that happened in our world about 2 years ago. You see, about 2 years ago, we found out that our son Logan is type 1 diabetic and has juvenile diabetes. Because he is so into technology, he decided that he wanted to get an insulin pump. And so he researched and he ended up getting his own insulin pump. And so it's using technology. And so when some people start to say to me like, oh, technology, like, I don't know if technology is bad. Like, technology is not just saving my son's life, but it's letting him feel normal. Even just recently, he was able to be approved to get a glucose sensor. So literally on one side of his body, he has a pump that's serving as his insulin. And on the other side of his body, there is a monitor that is monitoring his blood levels. And it is constantly taking these readings and recording that information. So for the first time, he doesn't have to, stop lunch. So he gets to feel normal. But what's really, really amazing is that it can send out push notifications. So if he's starting to trend his blood sugar down, it can send a push notification. It can message us. And so that's an example of how it is being used to accelerate and improve his life. So some of these things are like really, really nerdy, but just to have Twitter talk to a spreadsheet is pretty cool. But I have settings in my phone so that when it geolocates that I'm leaving the house, it automatically turns off my air because I have a Nest system. So one of the things is like, we can't have the air on when we're filming an episode. So even if I want to, I just have one button right here that can turn the air on or off, or I'll show you here. As you see, I can adjust the temperature and it is adjusting the thermostat right on the wall. So not only is it cool that I can trigger it that way, but also what it's doing is it knows like, hey, well, if I'm gonna be home at a certain time, it knows what the weather is outside because it is connected to the Wi-Fi. So it can start to make sure that the air is turned on or off at the right times. And a lot of people say, well, that sounds expensive. But in our first month alone, we saved $80, $90 because instead of just this idea of like it's on, it's off, or you could program it, it already knew that the temperature was gonna drop and it had to do that. Like it automated it. So I didn't have to think about it as much, and I ended up saving money in the long run. One of my favorite ones though, that like, it doesn't have tons of practical applications, but I'm playing with it more and more. In fact, Jeremiah like really nerds out on it, is Hue. And so what we did is we started changing our light bulbs all in our house. What's really cool about them is we set up different triggers. A lot of them are fun. So what will happen is like some parts of the house, when it knows what time sunset is when sunset goes, those lights start to come up. Or in the morning, as the sun rises, it will, as part of wake up, it's turning the lights on in the house, and it is matching the color of those lights to the color outside. So one of the things is especially in Florida, it is going to rain every afternoon in the summer, but sometimes you have these flash rain things, is it will go and say, knowing what the weather is, it can go and dim the lights blue to say, oh, it's gonna rain a little bit, I need to go grab stuff that's, outside. We have a lot of fun ones that's triggered. So I mentioned in our last episode how as I'm coming home, we can have this light show go off. Or we have it when my plane lands. And so if I'm traveling in another city, these are ways that, hey, the lights are going off. What does that mean? In fact, it was hilarious. Kim, we were sitting on the couch and all of a sudden the lights just started like blinking, and we're like, what is that? Logan, what's wrong with the lights? And he goes, either an astronaut was launched into space or the International Space Station flew over our house. We're like, yeah, okay, what is it? And he's like, no, like he showed, like he has this trigger. He has it set up if there's a notification that there was a rocket launch. Peyton has it set up where, like, if an episode of The Walking Dead's on, like, it turns red. There's so many just incredible things. And again, I warned you, nerdy episode. You might have lost me, but you're watching because it's more of just like watching a polar bear swim. That was an odd reference. No, you're at the zoo and you're like watching and you're like, I don't know what they're doing, but it's adorable. So those are some crazy things. I mean, some of it is just stupid things that you can do with your family and friends, to things that are life-saving medicine for people. So I know a lot of that is crazy and nerdy, from just stupid things that you can do with your lights to actual life-saving medicine. But what I'm gonna do is I wanna show you something that is gonna feel like Star Trek, but it's gonna be absolutely free to you, and we are gonna show you how to do it on IFTTT. So beam me up, Scotty. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna show you with IFTTT, and I can show you in under 2 minutes. Again, this is completely free. So we're gonna go to create a recipe. If this, then that. So what is the this that we want? So let's go to Instagram and have all these triggers. I'm gonna go and find the one that says a new photo by anyone in an area. Now think about this. Okay, so I'm gonna locate an area, Walt Disney Resort, let's say, okay? So look what it's doing here for me. So I can say, here's Epcot. Now, you could put in your home address, you could put in your church, you could put in a conference you're at. What you're doing is, what I call this is a geo cloud. It's saying anything in this area, and any photo that is taken that is geotagged on Instagram, I'm gonna create that trigger. And then what do I wanna do with it? I have one that's called Neighborhood Watch. It's kind of fun. Like, it just is a geo cloud across my neighborhood, and it will take any tweets, Instagram, any post. And so I get an email. So it's an email summary. If I try to get the pictures from everybody, I won't get all of them. So I want it to basically go and say, hey, take every one of these photos that happen at Epcot, and I just want you to save it to my Dropbox. Dropbox is just an online cloud storage, but you could say, I want it to be emailed. I create this action and boom. When you go to these, also, I would tell you that receive notifications when that recipe runs. I generally have that off unless it's like a really important recipe. It doesn't have anything to do with phone or mobile. It's something that's triggered like at home or something. And there we go. So what this will do is, anytime anybody sends any Instagram photo and takes that in this geo cloud, it is gonna take a copy of that, and it's gonna put what they wrote and what their username is, and it is gonna put it on my Dropbox account. You can get super nerdy, you can get super practical. This helps us though with the idea of listening. I can listen for a hashtag, I can listen for a specific person, I can listen for an area. So there you have it. Super nerdy episode, but I warned you in advance. Hopefully what it did though is it expanded your mind into what is even possible out there. Remember that all of this means nothing though if it's not about helping people, if it's not accelerating your dream, if it's not expanding your adventure. All of this is just your R2-D2, that is your traveling companion. And remember, use the Force and your adventure begins right now.